Lauren, I noticed that you've put on a question on the chat. Is there any idea of when colleges will be opening up for FICA and ACA? Fiona?
Yeah, we were actually talking about this morning, and if you look at the government's guidance, it talks about phase 4. I know that Fiona has been in conversations with the colleges and SECT, and it's still being decided. Sometimes they're talking about end of the summer, other times they're talking about January. But certainly when you look at the route planner, it's referenced for universities and colleges in phase 4. So there's still lots of discussions going on surrounding the practicalities and when it can happen.
Okay, thanks. Is that okay, Lorna? Okay, thank you very much, Fiona. Okay, so that was the last question that we had. So now I'm going to hand back to Fiona, and she's going to give us a briefing regarding the new online ECS.
Okay. Obviously, when we went into lockdown, everything stopped. We weren't in the building to receive mail. Our ECS and grading was suspended. One thing we did before we left the office was we took a printout of everybody whose cards expired from October 2019 onwards. And we brought those lists back with us to our homes, and we have been extending the people on those lists. We've been extending their expiry dates to the end of October 2020 or the end of December 2020. And that was to give people confidence that I'm not having to worry about my cards ran out, what do I do? And that was just over 5,000 people. Now, obviously, we can process the card part, but we can't physically post the cards out. So what's happened is our printer, who's based down south, has all the cards ready, and the minute we go back to the office, which we hope will be July, it will be all hands on decks to get those cards out. So if we've had any queries with regards to grading, the first thing we've been doing is check their NI number, and bar a couple of exceptions, every single person that we've looked at, the card has automatically been expired. If you want us to check any of your people, then please send me your national insurance numbers and I can check for you. So that was one part of the operation that we had to look at, but we also had to look at ECS, and we can't stop ECS forever. So over the last few weeks, we have been looking at our process and trying to think, how can we create and get people sitting the health and safety assessments with the minimum of fuss. So we revised the process, and the process, which we've tried to keep as simple as possible, is that companies can request assessments in exactly the same way on exactly the same documentation that they've always done. They email it to the ECS address, and that goes to the administrators. From that point, we would then contact the company to arrange to facilitate and invigilate the assessments on your behalf. So we will organise with the candidates to do the assessments remotely. We will send the assessments in advance, just a few minutes in advance, and either one of our administrators, myself, or one of the membership reps would invigilate the assessment with that candidate. So they don't need to be in an office, they don't need a paper copy. We will send them a Word document. They will complete the assessment by highlighting it, and then they will return it to us straight away, and we will mark. All the results will be sent directly to the employers, and we will update our database, and then you have everything in place for when you start applying for cards. So the key difference here is that the employer is not being asked to invigilate because it's difficult for you to get the person to a particular place. So we will invigilate it on your behalf. The payment process, you would complete the application form and the payment. We'll process the payment through IMIS, and then we will liaise with you regarding contact details for the individual. And we've set up a template email that we will send to people so that they know what to expect, the reasons for the assessment, what's expected of them. The usual exam conditions will apply. We will ask them to provide us with ID. We do that with people that we facilitate and invigilate for on Friday afternoons. And we will ask them to kind of scan the working area so that we can check that there's no aids like the question and answer booklet or a phone that they're referring to. And the invigilator will stay with them online for the duration of the assessment, which is still 30 minutes. They'll email it back to us and we will then mark and issue the results. Marking's a teeny bit fiddly because we're going to have to actually physically take a copy of each page and then transfer it onto our process. But that's not something that employers or candidates need to worry about. It's just the marking is slightly different for us. You'll then get the results and then you can put things in place for organising a grey card when we return, hopefully in July. There is a newsletter on the website just giving a summary of what I've said. But from your point of view, the usual application form is to be used, and then we will initiate contact with yourselves to make the necessary arrangements. We've tried it with 2 companies, each doing 3 candidates, and Nikki did one of the assessments with all 3 candidates at the same time, and it worked really well. We're going to monitor and survey how this is working so that if it's not working for employers or it's not working for individuals and the results are being impacted by this new process, we will do something to make it, to change it, to make it better. Our whole purpose is to make this process as easy for yourselves and also for the candidates as we possibly can. It's only open to non-members. We are not offering or advertising this facility out with Select. As far as non-members and individuals who are self-employed or unemployed are concerned, the ECS is still suspended. Would anybody like to ask any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thanks very much, Fiona. Okay, so we've covered the questions and our briefing. So does anybody have any last questions that they would like to ask anybody that's present here just now? No? Okay, well, thank you very much for joining us this morning. Some good questions and some good discussion. Hope you all enjoyed it, and I hope you'll join us again soon another time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.